Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to continue on in our 9mm reloading series on our RCBS Rock Chucker Supreme. Again, big shout out to RCBS, Inline Fabrication, and Mojo Precision for supplying the brass. Again, support the companies that support us. We really appreciate it. So in our last video, we did sizing, or I'm sorry, we did priming. And so now we've got a bunch of cases. They're primed and they're ready for powder and projectiles. So in this video, we are going to do the case mouth expansion, which is a really important step. That allows you to seat the bullet correctly, especially if you're using, progressive press, something like that, or a bullet feeder. Getting that bullet set prior to setting your insertion depth or your case overall length is really important. It also, if you have too little case mouth expansion, you can buckle the brass a little bit. Sometimes we see with various different sizing dies and different case mouth expansion dies, you can get kind of that buckle or Coke bottle shape, especially on 9mm. I've got a bunch of videos on that topic in general. Check them out. Subscribe to the channel. Go back in history, look at those videos. So again, we're using the Lee Precision dies, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways we can do powder in this step with the Lee die. We will be utilizing RCBS Uniflow powder measure in the next video, but in this video particularly, I'm just going to show you how to set up your case mouth expansion. It's a good idea to have a set of calipers. I'll show you that as well. But I've kind of just, I know by feel and smell and all that, I guess, what it should be. But I'm going to show you guys a real easy way to check that too. So let's jump into getting this Lee Precision die set up and doing our case mouth expansion on our 9mm. All right, let's get things started. So we're going to take our case mouth expansion die out of our Lee kit. This is kind of a unique die in that it's also a pass-through powder die. So if you have the Lee funnel, I have an RCBS here, I don't think it fits. But in theory, if you have the Lee funnel, you can go ahead, do your case mouth expansion and do your powder right on the press. It's kind of cool. We're going to utilize this Uniflow powder measure today or in the next video. But to set this die up, go ahead and take your lock ring all the top. Make sure you have your number 16 RCBS shell holder. Bring the ram all the way to the top. And this is just kind of like a baseline. The way I'm showing you this is pretty much how Lee wants you to set it up. But, there's always room for a little variation. So I've got it bottomed out. And then I'm going to do my best here. I'm going to back it out one complete revolution. And we're going to start right there. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my lock ring down a little bit. I'm not going to like wrench it down. I'm just going to put it down so the die doesn't move around too much. And I'm going to do some fine tuning here. So the next thing I want to do is we have some sized cases that aren't primed. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of those now. And the reason I'm using one that's not primed is we're going to end up using this case through the next subsequent steps, setting up our case mouth, obviously. We're going to use it to set our case overall length when we get to bullet seating. So I'm just going to use this right now to set my case mouth. So the other thing we're going to need is just one of the bullets that we're going to use. And I am using some 124 grain full metal jacket. These are pretty inexpensive. I believe these are what are these, Frontiers? Yeah, Frontiers. Picked these up on sale not too long ago, and we're just now getting to them. So what we want to do is we're going to take our size case is not primed, and we're going to run it up into the die. And I felt just a fuzz of tension, so we may have made some contact there. And I'm looking, and my bullet kind of wants to go in there. But an easy way to check this too is I'm going to grab another case here because I've got plenty of size cases, and I want to show you guys how we can do this with some science. So I'm going to grab a set of calipers, and I purposely grabbed these old dial calipers because they work just as good. And when it comes to calipers, wait a minute, I'm going to do a little speech here. Let me bring you guys up. All right, so we're going to talk about calipers for a second, because for some reason, and I don't know why this is, in the reloading community, and I see this on all the forums and stuff, it's basically, you know, if you're not buying the top of the line everything, you're gonna blow your hand up. Your gun's gonna explode. Granted, you need good equipment, but you know, I purposely picked, you know, like these Lee dies, because they are the most inexpensive dies you can get, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with them. And guys have been making probably millions of rounds on these dies, and yes, is there more expensive dies? Absolutely. Do they do the same thing? Some do things better, some have better fit and finish, some they're just nicer, and at the end of the day you get what you pay for. But there's nothing wrong with Lee dies. Same things goes with calipers. You know, I have a machinist background, and you know, it's like working with tools. You know, you get the best that you can with what you can afford. In the same place with calipers. These dial calipers are of good quality. They're older. I believe these go back to my college days. These were the first ones I ever owned. I've got Brown and Sharp. I've got some Michitoyos in there. As things got better in my life, I upgraded some tools, but there's nothing wrong with this. I would say my advice, get the best set you can afford. If it's $8 Harbor Freight, if it's $200 Michitoyo, you know, that's on you. But essentially they're going to do the same things. So now we're going to get into setting our case mouth, and I'm going to grab some brass here. So on a digital set of calipers, you can zero them out pretty easy. It's a little bit different on dial calipers, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure right on the case mouth, like so, just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to loosen my dial here. Like again, if you have some digital ones, these would be a lot easier. And I'm going to go ahead and zero that right there. So the reason I'm doing that is I am going to pull you guys down here. I'm going to show you a little trick. So the reason I zeroed my calipers is I am looking for, in my experience, about 8 thousandths, 8, 10, anywhere from 8 to 14 really. Case mouth expansion will generally get the job done on 9mm. I'm going to button that down just a little bit more. We'll see some variation here. I'm going to go ahead and hit it again just to make sure. But about 8 thousandths variation. So, all right, so reading those calipers, that's about 5 thousandths. So I want a little bit more. So I'm going to turn the die down a little bit. And I'm just going to run it up. And I'm going to measure. Didn't make much difference, so we'll snug it up. Might have to loosen this lock ring a little bit. And some of the other expander dies are way easier. They got like a micrometer type dial. Makes life pretty easy. And you won't feel much pressure when you do this. And again, yep, so right there's about 6. So we're going to, I'm going to have to loosen this lock ring up a little bit. Now the secret is doing as little case mouth expansion as you need to. I believe these bullets are 355. Yep, 355. So you'll have to do a little bit more if you got like a 356 on your 9mm. Let's measure it here, see where we're at. There's about 8, so that's kind of like the minimum. Let's just, for funsies, see how this bullet fits in here. And 8 thousandths is going to get the job done. So I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm basically just setting the bullet in just like so. So that's going to get her done. So I'm going to try to snug that up there by hand without dropping everything. So again, like if you're using a 356, you might have to go to 10, 11, 12, 14. I will tell you this, if you're using cast bullets, I go all the way to the top, like 14, because it just seems like the bearing surfaced on cast, even powder coated, is not as slick as full metal or plated bullets. So that's got our expansion set up. So now let's just get into the method of the madness of getting these all the case mounts expanded. Okay, so I'm using my RCBS case block, and I actually dumped them in my box here because I didn't want to run out to the shop and grab more case blocks, but you know, for all intents and purposes, we're using it for counting at this point in inspection. So we're taking our prime cases, we're just running them in the press, and again, with case mouth expansion, cadence, consistency is what's going to get it done. So make sure you're doing everything. In this case, you're relying solely on muscle memory. So make sure you're getting a full stroke into your die. And when it comes to single stage presses, you know, this is not for speed. This, in my opinion, is for a good time, for one. I mean, who doesn't like reloading? If you're watching these videos, obviously, you're into reloading. You know, sometimes, I'll be honest with you, let me pull you up here. I watch a lot of reloading content, and there are so many good channels out there. Some are more entertaining than others. You know, some have obviously been bought out and are getting huge sponsorships and things like that, which that's awesome. I'm very happy, really happy for the guys that's made a living out of it. That's awesome. My reloading path went a completely different direction, but to be honest with you, I'm very happy to be back just doing this for myself. All of this ammo is going to get shot. It's going to be used to, you know, practice my skills. You know, one of the things that I've always liked, one of my main reasons for reloading is I loved competition shooting, and I loved, probably my favorite is like Steel Challenge, because you get to practice, you know, coming out of the holster, acquiring target quickly and moving from target to target quickly. My daughter, she loved it as well. And, you know, with hand loading your own ammo, you can't just buy, you know, tricked out soft shooting ammo. You can make it yourself, which is awesome. But anyways, I'll digress. I will go ahead and finish these up, and then we're going to wrap this one up and talk about our probably next and final video, because everything that we have to do next is going to require a few steps at once, so not a big deal. We'll just I'm trying to keep these videos somewhat short so guys don't have to sit here and go through a bunch of commercial breaks, but I appreciate you watching the commercials because it doesn't keep the lights on, but it does help, you know, buy equipment and stuff and things for the channel. And anyways, so we'll finish these up and then we'll wrap up the video. Okay guys, so we've got all of our case mounts expanded on our 9mm brass, and I want to make a couple points when it comes to setting your case mount. Here's some advice. It's not saying this is what you have to do. This is just my advice. Expand them when you're ready to apply powder in your bullet, especially on a single stage. You know, brass does have some memory to it, and if you expand these now and then wait a week, they might shrink up a little bit. It's possible. The other thing to consider is expanding the case the least amount that you need to. And the reason I say that is the more you work the case mouth, the less reuse that you're going to get out of it. I have not done this scientifically, but I know I've got at least 15 to 20 reloads sometimes out of 9mm brass. The other thing to consider is these are all different head stamps, and there is differences in the case wall thickness of different manufacturers. So some might be thicker, some might be thinner. So you're going to have to find that happy medium, minimal expansion, so you can get your bullet inserted, but you will see some variation. And as you, especially on a single stage, as you start expanding these cases, you will feel a difference. It's not from the sizing operation. That's generally pretty consistent. It is variation in the brass. So you'll have a little bit of difference in wall thickness. But guys, that's going to wrap this video up. If you haven't already, please check out mojoprecision.com, Inline Fabrication, and RCBS. They have sponsored all these videos, and go support them. They support us. If you want to support the channel, the best thing you can do is subscribe. Leave me a comment. I'm generally pretty good about getting back with everyone. Sometimes it kind of goes in waves and I get 100 questions or I get 0. But just drop me a comment, share the video, give us a like, and we'll see you in the next video. So until next time, God bless.